Hey everybody, this is Tim with the University of Vinyl back again today. I thought it would be a good opportunity. We were past February and I had a pretty good month as far as adding new things to the collection over the month of February. So I'm going to show a series of new additions that I'm really happy to have stumbled upon in some cases. In other cases, I went to the Rocky Mountain Record Show in Denver, Colorado. That was on a Saturday in mid to late February. And then I also kind of participated in a cool vinyl community online auction. Got a couple cool records out of that, and we'll talk about that as well. The Rocky Mountain Record Show is held in Denver. I believe that this is a fairly new show. I actually went to the first one last spring, and then they had another show in the fall that I wasn't able to make. And then they had another one in late February. One of the main sponsors of the show is Denver-based Vinyl Be Pleased. I'm sure everyone has heard of them. So they actually didn't have a big operation there. They had a small booth where they were selling kind of overstock of the three different categories of albums that they feature in their record club. I am currently not a member, although about every other month I take a deep dive on their website and consider it. I just have not pulled the trigger on Vinyl Be Pleased yet. Anyway, they put on a great show. I will say I'm going to show a little footage here and there that I managed to get. I met quite a few great people there. There were actually two people that kind of ID'd me as, hey, you're that University of Vinyl guy. Always fun, so it was nice to meet them and mingle a little bit. It was a pretty warm day for February in Denver. There were a ton of people there. I did leave a little bit of feedback. They sent an online survey after the show. I think it's time for a bigger venue, so we'll see what happens with the next show. But I'm sure that all of the dealers in attendance, they must have done great numbers because it was pretty cool to see all the people there. I did, of course, get the early bird ticket, so I was able to have 2 hours between 9 o'clock and 11 o'clock when the main doors opened to kind of have a little bit of elbow room and look around. After 11 o'clock, it got very dicey. There was too many people there. And I had basically done enough damage and pulled out of there at about noon. I have diligently been trying to put together the entire Robin Hitchcock and Robin Hitchcock and the Egyptians and the Soft Boys while we're at it. I'm trying to find all of his albums. I love Robin Hitchcock. Robin Hitchcock is the eccentric English psychedelic folk, neo-folk, neo-psychedelic guy. I'd say his two main influences have got to be, well, Dylan is definitely one. I'm going to name three influences. Bob Dylan for sure, Nick Drake, and for sure also you can hear Syd Barrett in Hitchcock's lyrics. He is fantastic in concert. He typically does not tour with a band anymore. It's usually him solo, maybe with his girlfriend, who I believe is named Emma Swift. Anyway, at this show, I was really happy to add two new titles that I've been looking for. This is Queen Elvis, Robin Hitchcock, and with the Egyptians. This is a 1989 album. It's on the A&M label, and this thing is in near mint condition. Super happy to add this to the collection. Peter Buck is a guest on the album, as well as two of his former Soft Boy bandmates. The bass player and the drummer are on this album. This is a really nice jingle jangle pop, 60s power pop, a little bit of folk in here as well. And of course, if it's a Hitchcock album, there's a very good psychedelic tinge here as well. So this is a great album. Queen Elvis, he is pictured there in a London call box. Anyway, he loves to use green on a lot of his albums. So anyway, that features on this as well. Another Hitchcock, this time a solo album, I Often Dream of Trains. This is an original UK first pressing. There's that green again. And this is, if Hitchcock has a masterpiece or two or three, this ranks really high. I Often Dream of Trains. It is solo acoustic, although I do think he's got a little bit of electric 12-string and 6-string guitar going on in this album as well. Really, really, really solid, great group of songs. Let's read a few of those off. Trams of Old London. Autumn is Your Last Chance. I Often Dream of Trains, the title track. Fantastic song. Furry Green, Atom Bowl. No psych folk there at all, right? That is I Often Dream of Trains. That was on the Midnight Music label. The thing was in near mint condition. Found it in a random booth from a store in actually Arvada, Colorado. Don't know how they happened to stumble upon this, but really happy it went home with me. From Hitchcock to Zappa, I also picked up this one. This, of course, is a 1982 album. Ship Arriving Too Late to Save a Drowning Witch. This is the famous album that has Moon Unit, his daughter, on lead vocals on Valley Girl. A time capsule now if you listen to it. It's a fantastic song. There is some inspired guitar playing here by Mr. Zappa on this album. It's kind of an eclectic mix, a psychedelic psycho stew, and I'm really happy to have this. Of course, this was on Barking Pumpkin Records. Basically a near mint example that I picked up for about $16. So another great pickup. I have been keeping my eyes out for the next album. I've never seen it in the wild, and I guess that's what record shows are for. You're gonna find some rare things out there, and one of those for me was Are You Passionate? This is the 2002 Neil Young album. This is kind of a weird mix. It's got most of Booker T and the MGs backing up Neil. A lot of horns, a lot of soul from Neil. He's using different octaves of his voice on a couple different songs. But it's, in my opinion, it is a passionate listen. Neil is fully engaged. He's got an incredible guitar tone on this album. There were bits and pieces of Crazy Horse involved on this album as well. The one song, Going Home, was a total Crazy Horse song, so just Neil and Crazy Horse on that song. But all the other songs, he had Donald Duck Dunn, R.I.P., on bass. Booker T was on keys and organ. Neil was there. Frank Poncho was on guitar and keyboards as well. This is a double 33 release, so they spread this album out over 2 records. Not much as far as artwork is concerned in the middle. You know, this is the album as well. Had the famous song Let's Roll on it after 9/11, where they basically, Neil kind of retold the story of the Pennsylvania flight that went down and the passenger revolt, etc. Anyway, that is Are You Passionate? Neil Young with Booker T and most of the MGs and some of Crazy Horse as well. Really, really good album. And, we haven't heard much lately as far as when all of Neil's reissues are going to be coming out from the 90s and into the 2000s. I think this was slated to be included in that mix, but with the whole printing and record press situation and supply chain backups, I paid up for this thing a little bit, but the thing's in basically mint condition, and I was not going to pass this up. This is the one bummer of the show. I kind of jumped on this when I saw it. Meat is Murder, The Smiths. Fantastic 1985 album. When I got home, kind of dug into this and saw that it was a pink variant, and went ahead and looked it up on Discogs. And this is one of those gray market bootlegs where some company ripped probably a CD and made some albums. So this thing can't even be resold. It's not allowed to be resold on Discogs. The spindle hole is too tight. I can't even give it a listen right now. I'm thinking about getting some kind of a tool to widen the spindle hole, but kind of frustrating because I think I paid $30 for this. Anyway, that's that. You can't win them all. I am also trying to find as many XTC EPs and 12 inches as possible. What I found is this UK press of Ball and Chain. This is a 12 inch on 45 RPM. Basically, it's an EP. There are 4 songs on it. It's on that label. So side B, I've got Punchin' Judy by Andy Partridge, and I've got Cockpit Dance Mixture, also a Partridge composition. Colin Moulding, of course. We've got Ball and Chain, the title of this thing. And Heaven is Paved with Broken Glass, another Andy composition. I'm trying to figure out what label this is. I do not remember, but gorgeous, near mint example. The jacket is a little bit beat up, but more than acceptable for the fantastic music. Another album that I've never seen in the wild, that is the debut solo album by Elliott Easton, of course, of the Cars. This came out after Heartbeat City, when all of the Cars kind of took a break, and I think most of them did put out solo albums or were involved in other things. This happened to be a real nice, clean, white label promo on the Elektra label. This is a mix of, it's a straight ahead rock record. My only complaint is there's not enough of Elliott just playing guitar on it. There's a lot of keyboards, but there is some nice flashback stuff looking at, power pop and 60s straight up, pop. All the influences that I'm sure Elliott has are on this thing. There are a few catchy tunes on it. Gave it one listen. Not sure how often I'll pull this, but it was cheap, and I also like the fact that it was a white label promo, so picked it up. This is the last album from the show. This is a fantastic reissue of the Jayhawks. Tomorrow, the Green Grass. There's the hype sticker. 180 gram audiophile pressing. Sounds fantastic. This, of course, has got the song Blue on it. Other things. I'd Run Away is a great song. Bad Time is the last song. Produced by George Draculius. Oh man, butchering it. He was Rick Rubin's right-hand man for several years. Worked on Petty's Wildflower project. But this is a really well-recorded album. The Jayhawks are one of the best alt-rock, alt-country, Americana bands out of Minneapolis. Led by currently, Gary Loris is still the lead singer, lead guitar player. Really happy to find that. I've got a couple random finds in my local digging here and there. The first I'll show is another album that I have never seen in the wild in my life. It is a Kier compilation called Japanese Whispers from 1983. In a little bit of research, apparently this was released after Pornography. The band was in flux a little bit as far as personnel, and they needed to buy a little bit of time, so they put out this compilation album. It includes several singles and then the B-sides of those singles. So kind of a unique album, and it has singles that were released in 1982 and 81, I believe. Let's Go to Bed, Just One Kiss, The Walk, The Dream, The Love Cats, of course, Speak My Language. Really, really nice, clean pressing of this album. And yep, it was on the Sire label. So that is Japanese Whispers. I am still looking for Standing on a Beach, the more well-known Kier compilation album. The hunt continues for that one. I've talked before about a local chain that I am trying to go and frequent at a minimum weekly, because over the last 2 years I have found countless surprises out of this store. And it's a national chain that is staffed by an ever-rotating group of characters. I don't know how they do their pricing or if they do any research. But I am not complaining, because in a recent trip there, I found an incredible album. This is a legendary album called Lubbock on Everything, from Texas singer-songwriter, outlaw country guy Terry Allen. That's the cover. This was a double LP from 1978, I believe, on the Fate label out of Chicago, Illinois. This is kind of a legendary album that I've never seen in the wild before. All the lyrics. There's my second album, or second record. Terry Allen is a really rootsy, he's incredibly literate. He was kind of known, or is known, as a Texas intellectual. David Byrne from Talking Heads worked with Terry Allen when they both collaborated on the soundtrack and the score for the Talking Heads film True Stories. I'm not sure. I think David Byrne may have directed that as well. But anyway, he collaborated quite a bit with Terry Allen. Anyway, that is Lubbock on Everything. The kicker here is this store had it priced at $6.95. I knew this was a rare record, and I pulled it up on Discogs. I think the median right now is over $80, and it's not easy to find. I don't think there's very many for sale on Discogs. Great music. hard to describe, but Texas singer-songwriter Terry Allen. So I mentioned I have 2 other albums I'm going to show. These albums came from kind of a cool Saturday night online auction that was put together by Rob from The Waxed, Patrick from the Vinyl Archivist channel, and Davis Winchester from Local Community Vinyl College is the name of his. He's changed the name of his channel. Davis, of course, is a huge jazz fan, and I think everything that he sold that night was jazz. Patrick had a smattering of very interesting things. And then, of course, The Waxed, working in conjunction with a mysterious friend of his, who he is apparently kind of getting things from that friend's collection, had some really interesting stuff. First of all, I picked this up from Patrick, the Vinyl Archivist, and that is Flick of the Switch, the 83 AC/DC album, U.S. Atlantic label. This is a fantastic, underrated AC/DC album, mastered by Bob Ludwig. It sounds amazing. This thing's in near mint condition. Got it for a very good price. Thank you, Patrick. Just arrived 3 or 4 days ago now, and I've already given it 2 listens. There's, you read these song titles and nothing really jumps out unless you're a huge AC/DC nut, but Deep in the Hole, Bedlam, Belgium, Brain Shake, those are some of the best songs. Those are all on side 2. I love this has got, don't know if you can see that, it's got an embossed album. I've been involved in the past in some different printing projects, and embossing mass-produced stuff is not cheap. So it's cool to get embossed covers when you can find them. Anyway, that's just a little fetish of mine. Love embossed covers. That is Flick of the Switch, AC/DC. Thank you, Patrick. Last but not least, Rob from The Waxed and his friend. I picked up a gorgeous copy of the legendary Kinks album, Village Green Preservation Society. This is a U.S. first press on the Reprise label. A gorgeous copy. Of course, that was a gatefold. And the kicker is that is another white label promo. I am a sucker for white label promos. And Rob put this up at a fair price. I think it may have been a little bit above Discogs median currently. However, looking at the listing for this album on Discogs, there are only 2 or 3 for sale, and I will say that they're anywhere between $50 and $75 more than the price that I agreed with Rob for this. So thank you, Rob. This is a fantastic Kinks album, 1968. It's stereo on the Steamship Reprise label, and that's a white label promo. The Kinks are the Village Green Preservation Society. Great addition to the collection. That was the month of February. It went by quick. There was only 28 days. Thanks everybody for watching and putting up with my idiosyncratic delivery. Once again, I appreciate all of you. I appreciate all the comments, all the feedback. Let me know what you thought of some of these albums. If you have any of these in your collection, or let me know of any huge gets that you got during the month of February. Take care, everybody, and I will see you soon.